Mathilde. Hi, Sofia. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fine, fine. So, guys, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're definitely thrilled to have Sophia, our current student, with us for this webinar. And we are really lucky to have you directly today because Sophia just wrapped up an incredible experience working in Formula One. So you definitely have to share everything about this amazing opportunity. But before we dive into the world of F1, Sophia, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and share especially what brought you to this master at
Of
IOM?
course. Thank you for having me. I know it was a very long and very fun weekend for everyone, but definitely. So my name is Sophia. I'm originally from Montreal, Canada, but I moved to Monaco in September for my master in sports business management. I was kind of attracted to this program because Monaco is such a small place. Everybody kept telling me that you're gonna see the campus is it's the city, it's the country, it's the whole place. You meet people there everywhere, from the classroom to different events to even restaurants sometimes. So I felt like Monaco was the perfect place for sports. It was also awarded a sports award recently. So you have sports like football, like basketball, like tennis, even motorsports every year. So I thought it was a really interesting hub for sports, but also the sports industry in general, because we have conferences, we have different events, we have different people from different industries, different sports, different backgrounds, people from all over the world kind of coming back and forth to Monaco to experience different stuff. So it was what brought me to IOM and to Monaco, definitely.
Okay, okay, okay. So, what was your expectation before joining the program, and have we met this expectation? So, how they evolved since you started?
Definitely, I was really excited. For me, it was my first time studying abroad. I come from very far. I'm not from Europe. So it was a long journey, but a really rewarding one, a really exciting one. I kind of expected to gain more knowledge, definitely in the sports industry, because my background is not in business. I'm from political science background. So for me, having that kind of business and applied into sports topics was really important, as well as meeting new people. I feel like the professors that we've had, they go from being professors, permanent professors at IUM, to leaders of the industry, people working for your dream team, for example, your dream club, your dream organization. So all these people are kind of gathered into the school program. And I feel as though the fact that it's such an international school also really puts a lot of emphasis on having an experience that is really complete, because sports is international. It goes beyond borders, so it's definitely important to have that into a program. So I would say that a lot of my expectations were met. I think for a lot of people, it's definitely a tough year. Like, it's a challenging year. It's a lot of questioning, a lot of work, from finding an internship to doing class to doing group work. It's a tough year, but it's a really rewarding one. So definitely.
Good. Thank you. Happy to hear.
Right.
So, every time when I talk to the new students, I'm talking and I'm doing webinars, I'm talking about learning by doing concept. So we definitely try to put the strong emphasis to the experiential learning.
Mhm.
So how you would describe this, what it looks in practice.
So definitely having these opportunities really helped me. I think you have theories, you have classes that kind of show you how the industry work and how different department works. But you never truly understand until you experience it, definitely. So throughout the whole year, I was able to work on different events, different sports, sports that I had never been interested in before that I now have a new interest in. So I think it's a really interesting way to learn, and it's important because as you're graduating from your master's, you're looking for opportunities, you're looking for jobs, and all of these employers are going to ask for this experience. They're going to want to know if you're ready to apply, even though it's an internship, you're learning, but you're also working. So being kind of that complete person that can go and learn from different experiences, meet new people, it's really important. And I think a lot of the opportunities that we've gotten to work on this year were really interesting because we went from different sports clubs to organization to different events. So I think it really shaped my experience, but it also shaped a lot of what I thought I knew about myself, but also what I thought I knew that I wanted to do. Some things shifted, some things became more concrete. So I think it's a really important part of having that experience in a master's program, definitely.
Okay. So now diving into the Monaco E-Prix and F1. So how did you get that opportunity? How you've been worked there?
Hmm.
What was your experience, position as well? So what you have
Yeah.
done through this event?
So this process was definitely one of the most challenging one. I think everybody wants to work the Grand Prix. Everybody wants to work, especially if you're in Monaco. A lot of these students that are coming for their masters are focused on motorsports, which it's a great place to do because there's such an iconic Grand Prix here and such interesting roles to be filled. So we got positions from the school. So the school offered to apply through them, and then we had interviews with some people from the automobile club. So it was done in a very professional, official manner. We had interviews with them. They would ask us questions about our CV, about our experiences, and then if they thought you were a good fit for a certain position, they would refer you to a department, and that department would then conduct their own interview or kind of talk to you to see if you would be a good fit, what can you do, what can you bring, because obviously they want to make sure that you get an opportunity. They're interested in giving you that opportunity, but you also have to be ready to do it and have the right skills to do it. So obviously it's not everybody can get picked. It's a very strict environment. It's a very small circle, but it's a very rewarding one. And so basically, yeah, it was an opportunity through the school, and I'm very grateful I got to work both the E-Prix and the Grand Prix that ended a couple of days ago. It was such an amazing experience. I think for everyone that got to experience it from our program, really, really enjoyed it, and yeah, definitely.
I can imagine that also it was a very challenge period, like a challenging period because the shifts were long, so you need to be ready to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a new environment, definitely. It's not like working for the same employer for 6 months or even a month. Like you're there for maybe sometimes 3 days, you're there for a month, sometimes you're there for 2 weeks, you're there for one day. So you have to adapt to this way of working. They have a different way of working than different sports, different organizations. So it's the best way is to adapt, learn, and do your best, show that you can be there and be a good employee. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sophie. So now you will tell us what you have learned from being from behind the scene. You worked in the social media team, am I right?
Yes, for
Yes.
multiple events throughout this year. So I was able to work a social media and digital team for the Women in Motorsports Day that was hosted at the collection of cars a few months ago. I was able to work on the social media team of the rugby tournament, so the Saint Devote
Mhm.
rugby tournament, as well as the Monaco E-Prix and the Grand Prix. For me, it was always an area of interest, digital content. I had done digital content a lot surrounding sports with different kind of people back home, but for me it was a completely new thing in Europe and having a professional setting, especially because doing what you want on your own is very different than being a part of the team that is in a professional club or organization. They have their own way of doing it, so it's not necessarily how you would do it, but you got to learn from them. So also my tasks varied from the different events. So for example, for the rugby tournament, I was given a lot of different tasks. So I was able to produce content, edit content, give more of my input, because it was more of a 1 week event with a lot of different actors. And for the Monaco 𝐸-Prix and the Grand Prix, I was more following their schedule, their marketing schedule, their content schedule. So I think from different events, you also have the different experiences because you don't get the same tasks. You don't get the same way of doing, and you're expected to do different things, which is totally fine. And you grow and you learn different things. So yeah.
Okay, that's, I mean, normal. Participating to different event, the structure, the way of functioning is completely different, so that's normal. I mean,
Yeah.
Grand Prix is known for having very strict rules, so that
Yeah,
you need to follow.
of course.
So, a lot of amazing experience, rugby, women's sport days, F1, so Grand Prix, Monaco 𝐸-Prix. How these experiences did complement your academic learning?
I think it's what makes my experience so valuable. I think having like this experience in the classroom, learning from professors, obviously you're working on projects, you're doing applied projects, you're doing group projects, you're doing projects on different kind of topics, different sports. But I think having this experimental learning and learning on the spot is also very important. I think when you get into the sports industry, as a new person in the sports industry, it can be very scary. It can be very uncomfortable. But having this new experience, and for me, even the whole month of April and May was back-to-back events. So it was different people I was working with, different kind of environments, different schedules. So the ability to adapt is really important because you're not always going to work with the same people. So having this kind of shifts between structures, as you mentioned, teams, sports, organizations, tasks, it's really important. And I think it's a reason why I chose this program, because you get to have these opportunities, these applied opportunities. And even on my CV, I can now see that I've gained so much from being at the school because I can learn from professors, but also because I was able to go and take from my own time and volunteer for these positions, which brought me a lot of not only knowledge, but contacts. Like you get so many contacts, you meet people, if they like your work, they refer you to people, which is kind of the process. That's how it works in sports. You have to network, you have to give your own time at the beginning to kind of get in, and that's how it works. So I think it's definitely a 50-50 experience, like having this learning in the classroom, and as much as it's important, having this outside of school experience is very, very important, definitely.
Okay, thank you. If I am not wrong, you have also participated to the media day with the Rocket team.
Yeah.
So,
So we
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
sorry. We had the opportunity to work 2 media days actually. So one of them was a preseason, so in September, which is really interesting because every time I talk about it, I I laugh because I came in September and then 2 weeks after I already had an opportunity to work with one of my dream teams. So it was very funny to me. But so yeah, I was able to work for preseason media day and EuroLeague media day, which was just a couple of weeks ago. They were both very different schedules, different people, different partners. So the roles are a bit different. So the half of the people were in charge of chaperoning the players, and half of the people were in charge of being workshops coordinators. So I was a workshop coordinator. I was able to work with a TV channel and content producing channel. And I was helping interview the players, which was really interesting, kind of helping get players on schedule,
Yes.
working with different channels, TV channel, broadcasting, different players. So having this role kind of is interesting because you get to work with athletes for the first time. For a
Not
lot of us,
easy.
Yeah, for a lot of us, it was first experience, and it's different personalities, and it's not their favorite thing to do, media day, definitely. But I think a lot of us had a lot of good energy and kind of brought a really nice environment to the media day. So I think different people had different roles. I was able to work with the same company for both media days, so I was a
Hmm.
very nice thing to do as well, because it was kind of ending the year the same way
Yeah.
I started. So I was really interested. And for me, basketball is one of my top sports. So I was definitely super glad to be able to do this experience. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I mean, you did a great job. That's
Thanks so
why
much.
they ask you to redo it. Like it's a
Thank you.
9 months after.
Thank you.
Um, okay, you mentioned about at the beginning. You mentioned about like the studies that kind of shifted your and trying to identify what kind of professional goals you want to have. So how this kind of hands-on experiences helped you to shape
Mhm.
your future goals or perspectives, let's say.
I think I can talk about me personally, but I think it's the same for a lot of people. Having these kind of different roles, because I had different roles for different opportunities. I didn't always do digital content, or I think for a lot of us, it kind of confirmed, for example, like for me, it confirmed that I really wanted to work in sports. Like for me, it really confirmed that that was the right environment for me. And I think the appreciation from the environment that I've been in and the feedback that I've got also kind of helped me reassure myself that I was in the right environment, the right industry. I think it also gives you a perspective of how different department works, because I think a lot of people want to do different roles until they get into that role,
Yeah.
and then they're not sure that they want to do that anymore. Because it's not always sports is not always glamorous. You're not always going to have this glamorous experience, especially when you're just starting and you can't choose really what to do. So I think it kind of gives you a realistic perspective of the sports industry. If you were interested in marketing before, or finance, or sponsorship, maybe you'll be more interested in communications or legal. So I think for me, it definitely confirmed that I really like everything that's sports and creative and kind of digital, and working with athletes for me was really important. Having that one-on-one was really important as well. So it kind of shapes what you like about the industry and what you don't like, because at the end of the day, like for a lot of us, this is our first experience hands-on. Even if we were watching sports before, or even studying in sports in our bachelor, you rarely get this opportunity to work directly with clubs and athletes and organizations. So I think for a lot of people, it confirmed their ambitions and confirmed what they wanted to do within the sports industry. And for a lot of people, it kind of shifted them into another department, which is really interesting because they get to learn. And all of these skills are transferable. If you were interested in marketing for a while and then you want to work in broadcasting, then all of these skills are totally transferable. You're going to learn new things, and you're just going to have more knowledge, which is great at the end of the day.
Good, 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 good. So for you, what you have decided? Do you have already a clear idea?
As I said, I'm really interested in digital content, of course. For me, I've always really liked working with athletes. Back home as well, I've worked with a couple of athletes, which was for me great experiences. And for me, I've kind of found myself in a good place in that. So everything that's marketing, communications, PR is really interesting to me. So obviously, that's what I would give as an advice a bit, like kind of keep your eye open. Always seek different opportunities, because you never know. You might find something that's completely out of your comfort zone and something that you would never think you would like. And actually, it's the perfect fit for you. Perfect. And sometimes people say they see you in something and then you actually do it and you're like, they were right because they've been here for a while. So for me, yeah, definitely in the marketing department, communications department, anything that's PR, anything that's digital content is really interesting to me. Yeah.
Good luck. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that you will perform that very well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we talked a lot about this experiential learning. We talk also about what happens in class, but what about outside? So how is the life, student life, at IUM?
I think for a master's student, it's a different experience than bachelor students, to be honest. I think a lot of the bachelor students are obviously younger. They're here sometimes for a couple of semesters and then they go abroad and stuff like that. For masters, you're here for 1 year. You're here for 9 months. That's it. So you try to make the most out of it. And I think you gain the most out of going out to the classroom. And even for me, I had a funny experience because even last week, I was going out during the Grand Prix week. I was just out with my friends. We weren't doing anything special. And then I met people from one of the F1 teams and I started talking with them. And then they were kind of interested in what I was doing there. And I was like, oh, I work the Grand Prix as well. And I'm a student. And they were like, that's really interesting. So you kind of meet these contacts outside of the classroom. As I said, Monaco is such a small place. People are willing to talk to you. People on the streets will talk to you. Even I was doing photography outside. I was shooting some kids playing football on the beach and someone came up to me and they were like, oh, are you a photographer? And I was like, no, I'm just in sports, so that's really interesting to me. So being outside of the classroom is as important as being inside the classroom, I would say. So it's definitely a really nice playground for someone in sports. Monaco is known for luxury usually, but it's a very interesting aspect for sports because all of these industries are intertwined at the end of the day. So I think going out of the classroom, meeting people, going to different places, exploring is what's interesting as well. It's really important to make your experience at IUM complete. Like as we said, and we're gonna repeat it probably, and everybody's gonna hear it again. The whole campus is your whole country. Like you have to go out there and seek out these contacts and seek out these opportunities, definitely.
So definitely when you are here only for 10 months, you need to use all opportunity that Monaco
Yeah,
offers. So that's for
definitely.
sure.
Yeah.
And we are talking also about International University of Monaco. So how the international and diverse student community contributed to your growth and development?
We're definitely in a very vast and diverse international student body. I think in my classroom there's North Americans, so Canadians like me, people from the US, people from Europe, people from Asia, from Africa, people from all over the world. I think it's also not always where you come from, but also where you've lived, where you've experienced. A lot of people from my classroom have lived in different areas, are younger, older, so they have different experiences. So it's definitely diverse, and all of these people that you have in the classroom are probably going to end up working in the same industry that you are in. So at the end of the day, these are one of the first contacts that you make because maybe someone will be your future manager, and that's a really interesting experience or someone will help you find your first job, or even later on in your future, they will give you an opportunity that you wouldn't have had if you hadn't met them in the classroom. So I think having this really diverse international community is really important, and it's what makes Monaco really interesting, what makes IUM really interesting, because you're going to be walking in the hallways, walking in front of the school, and you're going to hear many languages. Many people are talking different languages between each other. Many people are learning languages between each other. I tried to learn some languages from my classroom, so I think it's what makes it really special because it's such a tiny community, but it's also very, very diverse and very, very international. So yeah, I think it's one of the pillars of this school, definitely, and of my experience. Yeah.
You already talk a lot of languages, so what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I also heard that you are running your own business. So it's definitely the moment to do promotion of it. So can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, definitely. It's a project that I've started more than a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, with my business partner. So before I even came to IUM, even before I even applied to IUM. So my business partner is a professional basketball player, so he reached out to me and was interested in kind of organizing this company that would kind of benefit athletes, especially Palestinian athletes. So we've kind of built this platform to give more presence, more visibility, kind of give them a place to find sponsors, find resources they might need. So we've worked with different national team, like the basketball national team. We are in the mix of working with different people as well. I can't talk about it much because it's still in the talks,
For sure.
but we've kind of went around different sports. So we've worked with basketball, wrestling, for example, as well. So it's called fooz. So it's an Arabic word called victory. So we're hoping to get victory and to give access to these athletes that work so hard their whole life. I think for me it was a really interesting project when he first approached me to do this. And I think it also kind of brings an important aspect to when you enter the world of sports. I've heard a lot from my professors that you have to make your own experiences, build a portfolio, volunteer for some club to run their socials, do a blog. All of these things are really important and they shape how you present yourself to the world and your values and what you want to bring to the sports industry, because people are looking for people who can bring new stuff, who can develop, who can make them help them make revenue, help them run the industry as a whole. So for me, running my own business was never something that I thought of. But when I was approached, I think it gave me a lot of skills. And you have to do it from passion, because without passion, you won't manage to work between school, different jobs, your business. So for me, it was a very interesting project, and definitely check it out on Instagram. It's called Fouz, Fouz, and hopefully we'll be able to grow even more in the following years. Yeah.
Very good. So for your capstone project, would you choose the entrepreneurial project, or you still would like to find an internship? What's the next step will be?
For me, since I already have that kind of entrepreneurial aspect, I was kind of leaning more towards an internship. I think having that business side, that own business side is okay, but I think also working for a professional sports club or professional organization could be a really interesting thing to add to my resume. So I'm still looking for an internship. I think it's good. If you talk to anybody who's looking for an internship, it's a job on its own. You're definitely going to spend a lot of hours on it. It's something it's definitely stressful. It's a lot of work. I think my whole cohort, my group can tell you definitely that it's been a struggle for everyone. But I think it's also a really interesting thing to do. Like it kind of reveals a lot about yourself when you're looking for an internship, because you're discovering all these things, you're getting no's, you're getting yes, you're getting all of these things. So having to kind of bounce back from getting no's to kind of working until you do get a yes, it's definitely a job. It's definitely sometimes heartbreaking, but it's how the industry works, and it's kind of the first experience into the real world that we're going to be in the future. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bad news that it will be the same for the first job and for the further as well, because this is the process how we find a job. This is a job, so it's definitely hard.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So maybe I don't know. I wanted just to add, because we mentioned the capstone project, and I'm not sure that our our auditors, they are aware about what it is. So the capstone project, it was the project that the students follow after their courses. It can be an internship, but it can be also some different like academic thesis, or it can be entrepreneurial projects. So for the students who are already interested in creating their businesses, or trying to develop in different countries, or something else. Okay, so probably ending up with about what kind of advice you would give to someone who thinks to join IOM.
I think you have to be curious. I think joining IOM is a first step. If you get in, that's already an achievement. But making the most out of this experience is the most important because, as we said, you're only here for a couple of months. It's going to go by so quickly, more than you think. So, being curious and going outside, meeting new people, trying new things is like the thing I would give as an advice when joining the program. I think also being true to yourself, being true to the values you promote, being true to that's going to be kind of the same thing for everything. Making sure that what you do is up to your values and up to your standards, and giving the best that you can is really important. And also make connections that are good, like be friends with everybody, talk to everybody, keep a good working relationship with everybody is really important because, as I said, you're in the classroom, you're with the same people all the time. But making sure that you leave this program and not only do you have a good experience with these people, but they have a good experience with you as well, because as we said, like it's not high school anymore. You're gonna work with these people in a few years. So having these connections is really important, and making sure that you give your best out there, not only professionally, but personally is really important as well. So I think that would be mostly my advice to that. Yeah.
Very good advice. Very good. I mean, it's really important to be aware about this when you join the university only for 10 months. It's important to have good relation with your classmates because they will probably become your um,
Colleagues.
collaborate with colleagues, will collaborate with
Yes.
you. So try to, and I think it's also a learning process. How you collaborate, how you work with your group mates or your classmates. Then it shows also how you will do it later on during your professional life.
Definitely.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sophia. Very interesting conversation. I think we have some questions now. So, Matilde, tell us a little bit more. Do we have a question?
Yeah. We have a few questions just before. So if you have more questions, you can still ask them in the chat. You can also see my contact email address and phone number. If you have any other question after the session, if you would like to get information about the program, the admission process, feel free to email me or call me. And we can start with the question. The first one is, can a person with any bachelor degree apply to this program? And maybe after that, Sofia can tell us what bachelor she did.
So, yes, definitely, you can apply to this program, to this master degree, no matter which bachelor degree you have. The idea of this master is structured the way that the first semester covers the business-related courses that help us to accept the student from different background, because we definitely know that the student, when they start their studies, like at the beginning for the bachelor, they are not sure in which area they would like to work and continue their professional career. So sometimes it happens that it's advice of the parents or friends. So we follow this path without being convinced that we want to do it. So I would say for the master degree, you are more mature, so you will have more reflection about what you want to do, really. And I think for Sophia, maybe you can add, but it definitely with the age that we can understand, okay, this is something that I want to do for the whole life. And that's why we give this opportunity for the students to apply even with the different background.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I don't come from a business background at all. I did political science and communications with a minor in world Islamic and Middle Eastern studies. So I come from a different background completely. I just had a really important like big interest in sports industry. I was able to kind of experience through other jobs that I had done back in Canada, and travels to big events, sports events that I had before, and this passion that I've always had for sports. So I think obviously having a bachelor's is important, but you will learn. Sometimes you will have to work a bit harder. So for me, accounting, for example, was a bit of, it was not that easy because I had never had accounting classes before. But you work hard, you get it done, and you gain new skills because that's really important. So I think it's really important to have different backgrounds. Even in our classroom, some people came from an engineering degree. They're engineers and now they're in sports. And some people did marketing, some people did accounting, some people did political science, some people did art history. So I think all programs are welcome because it also gives a really vast experience to everybody after that. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Thank you. The next question is about the interview and motivational letter. Do you have any advice for someone that would like to apply and do their best application?
Sophia, you've done a lot of interviews during this year.
I think for me, I was not new to interviews. Back in Canada, I had different jobs, student jobs I had to interview for. I had to interview for this. I think the most important thing is to, yes, like not be nervous, but you will be nervous. I think that's a given. You will be nervous. If you're applying for something, you want it, so you're gonna put your whole into this. I think sometimes putting your passion forward is really interesting. So making sure that they understand how passionate you are and how curious you are about the job is really important. Showing your skills also is important. Knowing who you're applying to, what are their values, what are their goals, what do they seek to find in that position is really important, because if you come to an interview or you write a motivational letter and you don't have any clue what's going on in this company or the school, for me, I remember like I researched IUM a lot before I came. I went to these kind of webinars before writing my motivational letter and having my interview with Camille. I spoke about the fact that it was an international hub in Monaco, and that was really important to me because I come from an international background, and for me that was I think one of the winning points in my profile, having kind of that interest and curiosity in what the school had could provide to me, but also what I could bring to the school. So I think it works for any job, having not only an interest in what the company does, but what you can bring to the school or to the job you're applying for is really important.
Thank you. Now, do you have to do a part-time work as a student? Is it possible to have a part-time job as well? We have the two questions. So maybe I can answer for that. Basically, if you are coming from the European Union, you are allowed to have a part-time job at the same time as your studies. The university do not provide part-time job for the students, but you can do it. You just need to secure enough time to work on your project outside of class and to be able to come to class, but it is possible. However, if you are not from the European Union and you come on a visa, the visa won't allow you to work in France or in Monaco. It will only allow you to get the internship for your studies. Now, maybe for you, Camille, would you have an example of a student in the previous year that did not do an internship, but still managed to build strong connection or find good opportunities?
So the capstone project, the accomplishment of the completing of the capstone project, it's an important part of and requirement for the graduation. So I definitely have the example of the students who have not secured an internship because they wanted to create their company. So one of the most recent example is the last year student who she has created her company related to the bicycle tourism and athletes data analytics. So she launched her company last year, beginning of this year, in January. Then defended her project in front of the jury members, and definitely it works very well. She's really happy. They're passionate about what she's doing, and for me, it's the most important seeing the eyes very excited and happy with the project. And it definitely what Sofia was telling before, that passion, it's one of the most important thing. If you want to be successful, you need to be passionate about what you are doing. So yes, definitely it's possible. This year, for example, one of our students, she joined at the university at the beginning of the year, wanted to do an internship. And then after the classes with the international governance, so the classes of the ESG, now she convinced that she want to do a master thesis. So I mean, everything is possible.
Thank you. Now, could you maybe tell us if by studying in this degree, you get into sport journalism?
So maybe I can tell, I don't know. Can I? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So journalism, it's hard. It's a really hard industry. It's hard to enter. But for example, so if you have already background and you've done sport journalism or just journalism for your bachelor degree, then it's definitely possible. We don't offer very specific courses related to journalism, but if you have the background of journalism, like working experience or degree for your bachelor, then of course, with the master's degree in sport, you can have added value. I definitely remember Ali from last year, who had the bachelor degree in journalism, and after getting the master degree in sport, now he's working in journalism, sport journalism. Once again, when we are talking about journalism, it's also depend, are you talking about being journalist, following the matches, etc., or just working in the broadcasting? Because broadcasting is definitely possible. A lot of students joining broadcasting industry area after this master. So you need maybe to be sure about what you really want to understand, to ask.
Thank you, Camille. And now we have a question, which is, does everyone get to participate at sporting events, or is there some students that do not have practical experience when they graduate?
Maybe I will start, and then Sophia, if you have something to add, according to your experience of this year. So first of all this experience through the year, the university and me as a program director, I asked to apply for this events. So it's definitely important that you are motivated and you want to participate, to volunteer for this event. So interesting point that not everyone applies. So this is something that you have to know. It can happen that you are not interested about working in rugby or I don't know, basketball. But then I'm during those through those who applies, I try to select, if I have the opportunity, the events. So at least one event through the year. This is the idea, main idea. Once again, it can be different because, for example, Sophia did a lot of events through the year because she has experience. She did a very good job during the first one, so it was very interesting for her, but also for me having her for the next events. It can happen also that you will do the interview and then won't be selected by the company. Can happen. It's real life conditions, so you need to be aware of that. But in case if you are applying for every event, you will be definitely you will have the opportunity to work at least once or twice during the year. Also, every year we try to add different experiences, to have different experiences. So this is something that it's not written on the rock. So you need to, we are quite agile about the opportunity that we can offer to the students.
Yeah, if I can add to that, I think I had the great opportunity to work all the events that I applied for, which is really great. I think I got lucky with the fact that the first event was basketball because obviously it's my sport. So I think also making sure that when you present yourself, even if it's one event and you don't like it, you still do great because at the end of the day, like Cami is going to choose people that are going to perform well and that are going to make the school look well and that are going to make the school look legitimate and look like they are producing real professionals. So it's important that you go to these events, you make the most out of the experience, and you make sure that not only your name is good, but also the school name is good. Because after, if something bad happens, they won't have that relationship for next year, for example, with the school, and that's not great because these future students won't have the opportunity. So I think always presenting yourself in the best way possible is really important and showing that you are willing to do all these events. For me, motorsports wasn't my first, it's not my top sport. I obviously watch it, I follow it a lot, but it wasn't my top sport. But I was able to work F1, for example, because I was very passionate about wanting to have this position. I worked a lot during the year. I tried to build a portfolio. So it's different for every student. And I think you're going to see, if you talk to multiple students from this year, for example, every person's going to tell you a different answer on how their experience was because different people had different experiences. Some people had a lot of experiences, some people had less experiences. So it's important to kind of put yourself forward and to really show that you're motivated to work because people want to give you opportunities, but if you don't go out and seek them, you won't get it. So, yeah.
It's a really important point. And in Monaco, you need to be aware that Monaco is really small. So your reputation is the part of the university reputation. As we care about your reputation, our university reputation, you have to be cared about your reputation. So it's really important. And don't think that others will not be aware about what happened. So that's why, I mean, the reputation is probably the most important that you can gain also during this year.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the question that was about can you get into sport journalism with this degree was indeed more to know if it's possible to get into sports broadcast media. So maybe if you have something to add on this, Camille, I don't know.
I definitely know a lot of students, alumni students who work actually in broadcasting, who joined broadcasting agency in, for example, UK or in Germany. So it's definitely possible.
Thank you. And we have two last questions. One is, if I never worked in sports before, do I still get the opportunity to show that I can represent the school well, or is it harder to even get my first job?
I would say maybe it will be a little bit harder to get your first internship. That can happen. But once again, you apply for this master with this opportunity to participate to the events. In terms of selection, your experience played a role, but not so important. The most important, and that's why I think the first events, it's very important because I try to evaluate students. I also try to know everyone, at least the majority of the student, let's say, so I can kind of evaluate your skills and understand what kind of position can be can match to your profile. So it's not how to say, rejecting point if you don't have any experience in sport industry. The most important is your motivation, your passion, and your desire to work, responsibility, engagement. Yeah.
Thank you. And the last question is more for Sofia, I believe. Maybe you can share your experience, but how did you find your accommodation? Do you have any tips for international students looking for a place to stay? And is it hard to find an accommodation?
I think probably it was like the most stressful part of my whole experience. I think finding accommodation is tough when you're not there. For a lot of the European students, I would recommend going to Monaco and taking apartments to visit apartments at the place. For me, being abroad, it was definitely tough because I didn't know anybody here. I came here by myself, so having to find accommodation was definitely tough. If I could give tips, is definitely if you're near to come and scout places and to call agencies and to visit the apartments, because people that rent out apartments usually are scared by the fact that we're students. So they want to meet you. They want to see that you're a good person, that you're going to take care of the apartment and that you're a good candidate. So for those who are close, I would definitely recommend making the trip here if you're able to. For people who are a bit further, I think there's a group chat with accommodation and housing through IUM. So getting in there and talking to people who are finding accommodation as well, having roommates if it's something interesting to you. If not, it's totally all right. I found an accommodation for myself. I don't live with roommates. As well, looking at your budget, looking at where you could go, because you could go as far as Menton on one side to Nice. Some people live in Cannes, live in Antibes. It's a bit far, but depending on your budget, depending on what you're able to find, a lot of the students live in Nice, and the trains can be sometimes a bit of a ride, and it's a lot of people on the train. But for example, Nice is very accessible from Monaco, so going back and forth is totally doable. So going through agencies, maybe contacting a couple of agencies, giving your budget, giving what you require from an apartment is important. Maybe joining Facebook groups, obviously checking that the person is a legit person and doing all due diligence to make sure that it's a real apartment and that you're fine. But joining groups like these, joining groups on WhatsApp is really important, and it's a stressful thing to do, but also remember that for me, like the most shocking thing coming from Canada is that we rent out apartments for like in a couple of months. So you sign maybe in March to enter in July. Here you sign to go in the next week. So I found my apartment 2 days before I moved in. So I was back in Canada emailing everybody, texting everybody, and then finally the day before I had to leave to come here, I found an apartment, which was great. So it's a long process and it's definitely a stressful one, but you'll find one, definitely. There is accommodation. You just need to find the right one for you. And some people who have the funds to do it are able to do it. They rent Airbnbs for the first few weeks that they're here. So if you come earlier or even in September, you can rent an Airbnb in Nice or Menton or everywhere for maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month. And then while you're at the Airbnb, you can go through visiting apartments and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but it's a lot of work, definitely.
Thank you, Sofia. And I would just like to add that if you're interested and you have some question about housing, you can email them to me, and I can also send you our housing guide. So it will give you an idea of the prices you can expect depending on where you would like to stay. And after that, when you're admitted to the program, you can also schedule calls with our student services, and they are here to help you find accommodation if you need also for the visa, bank account, and so on. They are really available to help you. I can see that we have one last question. what is the quota of students who are employed after graduation? Camille, do you have the number in mind?
Oh, that's hard. I don't have my slides here, so
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly. I
can
think
say that,
depending, yeah.
yeah, it's 15% that stay in Monaco, and some
Yeah.
of the others decide to go abroad, and the exact number, I'm going to give it to you right now.
I remember also 15% that stayed in Monaco, but I don't remember. But we're definitely talking about like 15% staying in Monaco, then around 5 to 10% creating their companies. And then the rest, the majority, I think around 75% it was for the year 23. That have found a job position after 6 months after graduation.
Yeah, it's 95% of graduates that are working 6 months after graduation, and 42 of them are in sports event, if it can give you a bit of an idea. And yeah, as we were saying, it's 15% that are staying in Monaco after their degree. Quite good numbers, I would say.
Not bad.
Yeah. So we have answered all the questions. Again, if you want to get my contact and email me if you have any questions, feel free to do so. I would really like to thank you again, Sofia, for being here, sharing about your experience as a student in the program, and thank you, Camille, for conducting this session. It was really nice and super interesting.
Thank you,
so
Sophia.
much. Thank you so much for having me. And if any of you need advice or anything, you can look me up on LinkedIn and we can connect and I can answer more questions. I know sometimes it's a bit easier to have a student talk to you and student kind of explain, and maybe we'll be working in the same company in 10 years. So definitely contact me if there's anything. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone who watched the session.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mathilde, for organizing that.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.